And finally, ladies and gentlemen, something happened recently where it had to be drawn attention to, because it just shows the blatant double standard of today's society. Where a tennis match was happening recently, and I'm just gonna let the video play in a moment, and you can just see that how hypocritical today's society has become, and how the equality thing that people wanted was quite clearly a myth. And I'm not saying it's the same if you were to do this the other way around. The exact same would definitely be different, morally, in my opinion, with how men and women are meant to carry themselves. But this just shows now that, you can imagine if this was the other way around, the uproar that would happen. This is just perfectly encapsulating the double standard that now exists in society, with regards to, obviously, feminism is one thing. The ultimate fruit of this, I think, is feminism, and that it's okay to objectify men in the same way that it's not okay to objectify women, obviously. You just got to show the entire thing about equality, the entire notion of it is kind of not rested in truth, because it all depends on what aspect you think are men and women always equal in terms of physical strength, stuff like that. No, of course not. But again, you can just imagine a man doing this to a female, and even if you say it's different because men and women are different, which I don't necessarily disagree with, at a societal level, you can now see that this was never about, equality or anything like that. This was just about reversing the quote-unquote stereotypes at the time, making one set of stereotypes okay, and the other set of stereotypes not, making one a crime and one not. Because you can imagine that a man doing this, for example, if it was a female tennis player, as you'll see now, would likely be charged with some kind of sexually aggravated assault or something like that. But here you go, ladies and gentlemen. Watching, not listening, listening, not watching. You have a woman here, the blonde lady. The male tennis player takes his shirt off to change shirt in between sets, and she gets her phone out and starts taking photos of him with his shirt off, without his knowledge and without his consent, obviously, and presumably saves them and then puts her phone back in her bag. So she likely didn't realize that she was being recorded. She was on the camera. And you can just imagine the outrage that would happen now. But this kind of emboldening that's happened now with the double standard that's occurred with regards to the feminist movement, because, in a quote-unquote equal society, this should be equally condemned, right? This should be equally condemned. But obviously, I'm not saying it's exactly the same if a man was to do it to a woman, but in feminism, the feminists should be, outraged by this, shouldn't they? But, this just goes to show the double standard that's now happened, and that I like the way, I believe it's, I think it's Andrew Wilson. I think the biggest thing that's happened nowadays is people want equal rights, quote unquote, which rights are force, and we're seeing that more and more in the UK. The rights are just force. If you don't have the ability to enforce them, you don't really have any rights, no matter where they come from. And people want, quote unquote, equal rights, whatever that means, but they don't want equal responsibilities. They don't want equal responsibilities. There's no equal responsibility to show people respect, for example. But there's going to be no national outcry about this. There's going to be no prison sentence, even though very likely if this was the other way around, there would not only be a perfect, media, what was it, a purposeful media campaign of character assassination for this person, going into all of their private life, going into their history, going all the way back to all tweets that they've made. Look, this person's a disgusting sexual predator, all of these things. If it was a man doing it to a woman, right? But a woman does it to a man, it's somehow socially acceptable. Just goes to show the state of the culture that we live in, and that things really do need to be done about it. Things really do need to be done about it.